On this edition of Jobshare podcast, we are joined by the highly regarded Elizabeth Houghton. Elizabeth is a career transition and clarity coach who specialises in helping millennials and Gen Zs figure out how to create a career that they love and find their own definition of success. And Elizabeth has been recently named by Yahoo Finance as one of the top best female life coaches in Australia, which is super cool. How do you feel about that?
Super excited. Well, I don't know. It's interesting. I went through a whole phase of it. So I knew for a while it was coming out.
Oh, right.
But I wasn't allowed to talk about it because they were like, if you talk about it, it gets out, like, we'll just pull you. And it's like, oh, so I knew for about 6 weeks before it was published, but I couldn't tell anyone. So when it got published on the day, it was like, yay, it's finally here. Because I didn't actually know what day it was going to be published. I was like, yes. And then the next day I was like, oh, that's done. Moving on.
Like a build up for like 6 weeks and then.
Yeah. It was just like real kind of like, yeah, it's coming. And I couldn't tell anyone. So that was really hard. Mm-hmm. And I was actually really good at not telling anyone, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
To do that.
I would have struggled. What? I'm not going to lie. I
probably would have told one person.
Don't know anyone. Like, who are they going to tell? And then, it was just kind of, I guess, this really big build up, and then it happened. And then it was just like, okay, what's next?
I've just realised something that I didn't do at the very start. I am quite notorious for doing this during podcasts. As I go, oh my God, I forgot to say this. And I should probably comment on the fact that Natalie is not with us today.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, Natty. I have never called her Natty in my whole life. That's never happened. But so we'll probably have to edit that out because she won't be very happy with that. But unfortunately, Natty is really unwell at the moment, so he's not able to join us today, but that's okay. We'll make up for it. I promise. We will keep you amused, Elizabeth, don't worry.
Yeah. I hope she's feeling better soon.
Yeah, yes. We do too. We miss her very much. So tell us about, I'm not going to spoil it, but I want you to tell us and everybody else what you do and why you do it, because it is pretty awesome.
Yeah, so what I do and why I do it. Well, let's start with the what, I think, and then we'll go to the why. I am effectively a life coach. I don't really like that terminology. I'm going to get that out there straight away, just because it's very broad. And there's lots of people that say they're a coach, and lots of people aren't coaches who say they're coaches. So It's an interesting topic for me right now of the industry. But effectively, I'm a life coach. But what I do is I focus on Gen Y and Gen Z, helping and supporting them figure out what the hell they want to do, right?
Yeah.
And that comes from, we grow up in, our families love us to bits and they just want the best for us. But we take on their values and their definition of success and what that means. And, I do something my parents didn't even know existed when they grew up. And like the younger generations, they're making money off YouTube, right? Like parents and grandparents didn't get that. Mm-hmm. But they're not the conversations. I don't feel they're the conversations that are happening at school and that are happening with parents. So you grow up thinking, okay, so you need to get really good grades at school. You need to go to uni, or if you don't go to uni, you need to go and get an apprenticeship. You need to do really well, and you need to just keep going directly straight up this corporate ladder. We've decided that straight is the best way to go instead of playing snakes and ladders with it. Mm-hmm. And you get to this point and you turn around and go, I've got a really good job, got a really good salary, I've got the house, got the 2 holidays a year when we were allowed to do such a thing. And you go, but why aren't I happy? But you've never asked yourself what you want to do. You've just kind of picked up on whether or not you've got parents who are like, you must be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever it is. You've kind of just picked up everyone else's version of you, their definition of you, and you just go with it. And then at some point in your life, you're going to turn and go, oh, how did I get here? Why am I here? So instead of getting to that point of why am I here, my focus is getting in early and having those conversations really early with younger people to go, actually, let's sit down and get some clarity on what you want, what is going to make you happy, what's going to fill your cup. And yeah, if that's a corporate career as a lawyer, that's fantastic. But if it's not, that's cool too. What do you want to do, right? Like, at the end of the day, we all need to make money, but we don't need to make it in the way other people expect us to make it. So that's what I do. The why, it's an interesting kind of journey I've been on. So I was very much the gal at school who was told that I was dumb and I was thick and I was stupid. I wouldn't amount to anything. My teachers took great pleasure in public humiliation, asking me to get up in the front of the class and read from this massive book I'd never seen in my life. So I have dyslexia. So I had all of these kind of labels put on me through my early childhood because of that. Thankfully, I had parents who never put those labels on me and kind of probably went in the opposite direction of, okay, so you're going to go to school 5 days a week. And then on a Sunday, you're not going to go to Sunday school, but you're actually going to go to school on a Sunday. And you're going to have private tuition during the week as well to get all your homework done. So I'm in school being told I basically can't do anything. And then I'm at home being told, no, you're going to uni and you're going to get a good job and you're going to do this. So it was that real kind of balance playing off as a child going through that journey. And thankfully, I attached myself to what my parents wanted for me, which was study really hard, get good grades, go to uni. Not what my teachers were telling me. And I saw children attach to what their teachers were telling them. And they stopped trying, they stopped turning up for school. They were the kids that ended up smoking and, playing hooky. And they just didn't try. But it wasn't that they weren't capable. They just picked up all of these labels for like 15 years of their life and gone, okay, then this is all people expect of me. And I was very lucky to have different expectations. But I kind of got to my late 20s and had that, but is this what I want to do? Have I just done this to prove everyone wrong and prove my parents right? Which is very much where I ended up. Like, I had a fantastic career. I loved my HR corporate career at the time. Like, it gave me everything I needed. I got the promotion after promotion, but inside it wasn't what I should be doing. It wasn't what I was aligned to. There was certain aspects of it I really disliked. And I kind of got myself a bit trapped because it's paying my bills, right? Externally, everyone thought, oh my God, she's doing amazing. She's got this great job. She gets promotions. She gets to go and talk at panel discussions and go to conferences. And like, people phone her up and ask her for advice, even when they're from different businesses, and like, she's smashing it. And I'm like, well, I really don't like this. So yeah, that kind of gave me that thing of, if I feel like this, there has to be so many other people feeling like this. But if we can get out in front instead of waiting for someone to get to, their mid-30s, 40s, and if you're at that stage in your life and thinking, oh shit, I don't want to be doing this anymore, that's fine, right?
Yeah.
Let's have the conversation at that stage when you have it. But if we can get in front of the younger generation and say, when you fill out that form at school that predicts what type of career you have, and it only gives you the really, really basic, boring ones, there's actually a whole world out there. You can do so much more. Let's have that conversation. What do you want to do? What's going to light you up and fill your cup up? And I just personally feel we can get that right earlier in our lives. It's going to reduce like mental health issues, stress, and we're just going to have a generally happier bunch of people because they're doing what they feel aligned to.
Yeah, and I think it is difficult because for young people, a lot of their career advice is coming from school, and parents rely on schools to give good career advice a lot of the time. I'm probably an exception to that rule. I am constantly giving my 13-year-old career advice because I'm determined to set her up well for her future. But it is hard because careers advice coming from a school where, and I am going to generalize, and I'm sure I will get backlash about this, but generally speaking, it's from a teacher who went to school went to uni, became a teacher, went back to school, and hasn't had experience of life and the wealth of opportunities that are out there to talk to somebody about, or actually they don't want to go to uni, they don't want to, they don't want to be a teacher. So what advice can you really give? So what advice for you, what advice do you give young people around how to make those early career decisions?
Oh, I don't think I give advice. I'm a coach. Coaches don't do that. I ask a whole bunch of questions for them to figure out what their values are and the things that they excite them and they enjoy. And then it's about, okay, well, this is the stuff you really enjoy doing. You don't necessarily have to be good at it, but you enjoy doing it. Well, what does that look like? If we map that out, what does that look like? And the absolute other thing I love doing with younger people is asking them, what lifestyle do you want? So let's not start with the job conversation. Let's start with, okay, well, what do you want? Do you want to be the person that goes down the pub and can buy all your friends a round of drinks every time you go down there? Well, if you want to be that person, you have to have a certain level of income. Like, let's be real about this. Money is important. Yeah. But not everyone wants that. Not everyone wants the 2 holidays a year. Not everyone wants a 5-bedroom house. So what lifestyle do you want? Let's figure that out. And then let's work backwards to how do you get to there doing something that isn't going to destroy your soul? Like, how do you get there being relatively happy? Yes, there's going to be moments in everyone's day where you're like, I don't want to do this. This is a rubbish task. But that shouldn't be every moment. Like, you should not be going to bed or getting ready for work on a Sunday evening and having that Sunday evening dread and anxiety that you've got to go to work on Monday. If you're feeling like that, you're doing the wrong thing.
I genuinely don't think anybody ever asked me what lifestyle do I want. I think my parents probably told me that, you do want a big house, don't you? And you do want a nice car and you do want your holidays and you do want to be better, have more than what we had, because that's every parent's dream, right? For your kids to have more than what you had. But I think you're spot on. I don't think anybody ever said to me, what do you want your life to look like? When you're 30, what do you want to look, what's the look and feel of your lifestyle?
I do it from that real kind of, okay, so if you are down the pub, are you the one picking up the bill? Or are you pretty cool for someone else to be picking up that bill for you? Like, where is that sitting for you? Do you roughly know where you want to live? Like, what do you want? Are you someone who wants Sunday dinners every Sunday with the family around and that's what you want? Or are you someone who wants to travel? Like, roughly what do you want? And we change our career, right? Like, we change our minds for our life. So it's not like setting something in stone. And this is kind of not bagging out the educational system, but this is kind of the issue with it, because we pick really early what we want, right? So the subjects we pick at GCSE, that then determines what subjects we can take at A-level, and then that then determines what we can do at uni. So we are making these decisions when we are like, 15 years old, if not younger
than that now,
14, something like that.
Yeah.
How the hell at 14 do we know what we want to do?
I read a report this week, and it was from World Skills UK, and it was around what do employers want? So, yes, okay, they English and maths has always been top of the list. Employers want a certain level of English and maths. Okay, we get that, that's cool. But what was coming through on that report was now employers also value digital skills as much as they do English and maths, because let's face it, that is the direction the world is headed. But at GCSE, the number of young people opting to take an IT or computer science GCSE has declined by 40% over the last 6 years. So there's this real misalignment around curriculum, because IT is a choice you have to make, and actually probably should be mandatory if that's what people, employers want you to have. But I was talking to this about my daughter, and I have to say, I'll probably get wrong for this, but I did say to her, oh, you can pick whatever options you want, but you are doing computer science. Like it's not, because, but not because I want her to have a career in computer science, but I don't want her to cut herself off from something that an employer might, would really value. But the rest of it,
that's
like,
what an employer wants now. Like, how old's your daughter? When she, like, how many years before she enters the workforce, right? Like, honestly, there's going to be something completely different by the time she starts.
I mean, that's the theory, but I suppose most careers, I suppose that was what the report was telling me, was that most careers now have some element of digital skills in it. It's like, it's really important. And I'm not saying I want her to be a computer scientist. I don't care if she becomes a web designer or a vet or a plumber. It really doesn't make any difference. But I want her to have those wider options. And I think with picking your subject so early, you can drive yourself down a particular route. And so my question was going to be, how the hell do they make those decisions?
They can't, right? A 14-year-old, no offense, 14-year-olds, if you're listening to this, cannot make that decision.
I couldn't agree
right?
more.
Because parents like you are having that conversation of, you can study anything you want, but you are going to do X, Y, and Z. And then you have these lovely assessments at school as well that tell you what your aptitude is. And then that kind of decides your timetable and what subjects you're going to have exposure to. So you then get narrowed down again by those assessments. Like, study something you're passionate about. Study something that excites you and that you are going to enjoy. Yes, every parent is now thinking, oh my God, all my children are just going to do dance, drama, and art, and they're not going to have any transferable or employable skills. But what happens, we know as adults, right? If we do something we are truly passionate about, we are motivated, we put in the effort, we go the extra mile, right? So if we're telling our children to do something they love and excites them, and I'm not like maths, English, science, that's all important, okay? I'm not saying it's not important. But if that's not their bag, why are you doing triple science? Just do double science. Like, don't stress about it. I don't think I've ever used my science GCSE. I didn't go into that field. It's not my bag. Great, I have that foundational knowledge and I can talk about things with my nieces and nephews when they ask me about stuff for their school homework. I'm like, yes, I do remember photosynthesis. Let's talk about this. And if not, there's Google, right? Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're passionate about it, you put in more effort. So you're going to get a better result. Where you've been told to do something that you dislike, what grade are you going to come out with? It's either going to be a really traumatic 2 years experience of you having to force yourself to read a book that is like, you might as well, do something else, watch paint dry because it's more exciting for you, and force yourself to write assignments that you have no passion for. And that will come out in the quality of your work. So why do it to yourself?
Okay. All right. She can have the choice over whether she's confused. If I have to, we'll have to do private tutoring later down the line. That's what we'll have to do.
But that's it, right? Yeah. You can change.
Yeah.
Why can't you go and do a GCSE in your mid-20s or your 30s or your 40s or your 50s? Like, if you want to go and do something else, what is stopping you? Other than the fact society is like, oh no, you do those when you're children. Who cares? If you've then decided you want to do something else, go do it.
Yeah, I think that's cool. That totally makes sense. And I'll be good, I promise. Hey, but
your daughter is computer science.
I do feel like, I know, but I do feel like I have to defend myself. And I had this conversation with somebody, it was a few years ago. Let's not pretend this was last week. This happened several years ago. And I was talking to this woman, and she was the founder of a charity, and it's all around youth employment and getting employers to be more youth friendly in their recruitment of young people. And we started talking about university, and I said to her, she wasn't very happy about it, but I said to her, But the problem is the system is stacked against people who don't want to go to university. So as a parent, do you not feel the responsibility to get your child to university? You have, it's not right and it's not fair, but there's a certain element of playing the game to get the best for your child. Oh, she absolutely chewed me to pieces. Like massively, was not happy with that response at all. And I don't know, I think maybe I'm not 100% that there isn't a certain element of game playing in there, that you have to do things maybe you don't want to do to get where you want to be.
Yes, but should we be telling our 14-year-old children?
No.
That's what, like, there is a game to it, 100%, right? And I dislike this, but it's my perception of the truth. So everyone can come and complain about what I'm about to say later. We are not equal. Yeah. The world is not equal.
No, yeah.
If you go to private school, you're 2 runs up the ladder, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't go to private school, you are starting at the bottom. I'm not saying someone who doesn't go to private school can't excel and go above the people that go to private school. But if you're in a private school, you are networking with people. You are able to meet people who have parents who are politicians and already own their own businesses, because people with money will send their kids to private school.
Yeah.
So you naturally have a different network and a different set of connections. At that stage, potentially, whether or not you get good grades, I don't know if it's relevant, because you've got the network, right? You've got the foundation. People know you, they like you, they trust you. So if you go to them and say, I've got this really crazy business idea, they're going to be like, oh, I know you. You went to school with my son. I know you. And you're off, right?
Yeah.
You're done. You've got all of this backing and all of this support from people who know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you don't have that background, I'm not saying it's not possible, but your starting point is different. You have to work harder. You have to prove yourself more. And you are starting, a few runs back on the ladder. And that's the same game with playing uni. Yes, the educational system, from what I remember, don't know it very well now, is stacked against you. If you do not want to go to uni, that is not what school is about. School is about ensuring you get good grades to provide you with opportunity. But the opportunity that is discussed is you're going to go to sixth form, you're going to do some more exams, you're going to go to uni. And when you're at uni doing your degree, they then start talking to you about postgrad. So it just doesn't end, right? It just keeps going. And having a degree gets you potentially an interview. I'm not going to say it gets you a job, because I don't think it does. I do at that stage, once you're at that point and you are apparently an adult at 21. Who knew? I'm not sure I feel like an adult now, and I'm far older than 21, but who knew? 21, you're an adult and you're having a personal conversation, you're having an interview. At that stage, it is your personality that shines out.
Yeah.
But being able to put on your CV, you got 10 A star to C grades, you got 5 A levels and you have a degree, more than likely your CV is going to end up at the top of the pile above someone who didn't do that. And that's the reality. I worked in HR and recruitment for a decade. That is the reality.
Yeah.
What employers look like. How else do they filter people out? If they get a whole bunch of CVs that look the same, they're not going to interview the 200, 300, 400 people that are applying for a job. They don't have the time. They have to have a criteria.
Yeah. And quite often it is qualifications, and the most directly comparable thing. And we are on this podcast, we are massive advocates for let's bin that. We hate CVs. We love video applications. We love giving people the opportunity to showcase their personality and themselves as a human being, rather than what's written on a bit of paper. I don't know if happiness has always been a thing, but I don't feel like I wasn't brought up with this concept of happiness. It was never do what makes you happy or follow your dreams. It was more like do whatever will make your life easier. And that's usually around money. Make sure you're financially stable and get a good job. Oh, that's the phrase you always hear. Get a good job.
What is a good job though?
Yeah, what's a good job? Well, it's what, you want to earn 100 grand a year. That's a good job. Well, hang on a minute. That very rarely happens. And not many of those people love what they do. I'm sure some of them do, but like how many people really do?
At what cost do you earn that 100 grand or more, right?
Yeah.
At what cost? What have you said no to enable you to do that? Because the corporate system, however much employers are amazing, right? You're all amazing. You give us jobs. We love it. But it's broken because your recognition is by how much effort you put in and your quality of work. And what we're taught is, well, working hard means working long hours. So it's not, I've done my 7 hours, I'm going home. If you do that, you're probably not going to get a promotion. I'm really sorry if you're listening to this and you're thinking, but I work my hours and then I'm going to go home. No, your contract may say you're employed to work 38 hours, but my God, you're going to work a few more.
Yeah.
And you're going to be rewarded for that. You are going to see the direct result of that effort. So what have you said no to? What have you stopped yourself from doing to get to that salary point?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying once you get to that salary point, you have to continue working that hard. You generally don't, right? Like once you get to a certain level, I'm not saying you don't work hard, but it changes, right? It's not the grunt work. It is something different and you have a bit more flexibility because people look at you and they're like, oh, you've got the director title or whatever it may be. So no one in their right mind is going to be like, you didn't come through that lift until 9:30 this morning. We start at 8, right? Like that doesn't happen, right? You get to a certain level in an organization and no one is going to call you out on your timekeeping. But you have to get there. And what have you given up to get there?
Yeah. And in the grand scheme of things, do you want to do that? And you just taught that is what you're supposed to do. And that's what makes you miserable.
Yeah, if it makes some people miserable. Some people love it.
Yeah, I was going to say, some people do want to go down that road and they're quite happy working those hours and earning that money. But some people often end up there and, like you say, realize, how the hell did I get here? I don't even like it.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? So, yeah, I think it's better to get there early rather than late because, by God, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was 14. I thought I wanted to be a travel agent.
Did you?
Done geography, yeah. It's the only reason I chose geography is GCSE, and I went to college in that, but I didn't even do anything relating to travel, thank God. Couldn't think anything worse. But my whole school was, I want to be an air hostess or a travel agent.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. See, I had a real, like, I actually had a coaching session to pick my GCSEs because I was like you, Elizabeth, I was a high achiever. So I kind of had my pick, this sounds like proper privilege, but academics came quite naturally to me. And I was like, my parents were like, you need to be a doctor. You need to go down that route. And then in my heart, I'm going, yeah, but I love theatre and I love singing and I love dancing and I love drama. And actually, my parents, after my session, they said, okay, yeah, let's do music. Let's do drama. And I went to uni and I studied drama. But at the age of 35, I'm now thinking, oh, I kind of wish I'd been a doctor. Because I am not currently on a Broadway stage. But although you might look back and go, oh, I should have, maybe I would have had a more successful career if I had gone down the kind of scientific route. I had a great time.
I was going to say, I bet you had loads of fun, yeah, and the experience as well. Even though you didn't go down that route, if you had to study to be a doctor and hated it, you'd be like, oh God, 7 years of my life or whatever it is, wasted. And it was hell.
And all that money. And the money
Yeah.
as well. You know, yeah, okay, you might get a better salary having gone to uni or got your PhD or whatever. But your fees, that money you have to pay back. Like you're paying that back forever. Like ever. So you really do need to make that decision. And I kind of feel, and this is another thing I've said to my kids, is if you want to go to uni, that's fine. But I would really like you to take a year out before you go and just experience life, because once you've got that student loan, it's really hard to get another student loan again. It's like you've had your quota. All right, well, you blew it on film studies, tough. Like, you know, the government doesn't really allow you to make those changes. But I feel like people go to uni because they're told to, just like you said, Elizabeth. And if they just got a year's life experience traveling or just working, trying different things, they might make better decisions going forward.
Yeah, I think traveling is really important. I know current world climate is not really going to happen for anyone. I actually feel really sorry for all the people finishing their A-levels this year. You are not taking a gap year and you are not traveling the world. Sorry, save it, do it in your later 20s, still find the time, still carve it out, do it, but you can't do it this year. It's not going to happen. It's hard, isn't it? It's so hard to know at that moment at 18. Like, do you know any 18-year-olds that have got, I don't even know people at my age that have got themselves together and know who they are, right? Like, we're just figuring it out one day at a time. We'll get there.
Yeah.
But we expect 18-year-olds to have their whole life stitched up. And that's what we tell them. We tell them, go to uni, study, and then you're going to get a job in the field you study. There's not that many graduate jobs out there. So 9 times out of 10, someone is not going to roll the red carpet out for you just because you wore a square hat one day and collected a certificate at the end of your university. Like, that is not what people are not going to be banging down the door going, yes, we have a job for you. Like, that's not how it works. You have to actively go and get it. But we've set this expectation that what you study is what you have to go and do.
Yeah. And if you don't, then you better study something else afterwards. You better go and do a bridging MA, or look at what you can do as a PhD. Or there's no solution, or there's not that much careers advice. Still, even at graduate level, there's not a lot there about career opportunity outside of uni, because I'm not going to bash universities. There's plenty of, there will be exceptions to the rule. They are not all the same. I totally get that. But generally speaking, you've paid your fees. They've delivered what they said they were going to do, which was your lectures, and you've got your degree. Now what? Their responsibility really is ended.
And they'll host things like grad fairs, and they'll have employers come in and talk to you and stuff. But I even think that is an unrealistic expectation, right? So your university, and again, I think the educational system has a place. It's just not for every single person, right? And this is the premise of, not everyone has to go to uni to have the life they want. And if you go to uni, that's fantastic. If you go to uni and pick a degree and you come out of it and you're like, oh, I didn't want to do that, that's cool too. Doesn't actually mean you need to go and do another degree, by the way. But if that's where that's fine, right? I don't use my degree anymore. I used it. I don't anymore. I do something very different. But you go to uni, and then all of these employers come in and you have career fairs, and they talk to you about the amazing corporate career you can have. Are we talking to people about how you can make money having a podcast, or doing a blog, or a YouTube channel, or traveling the world, or having like a remote? Are we talking about that stuff? No, we're not. we discount all of that. We are not telling people that is in the world. I'm not saying it's easy, but I don't think any career decision is easy, right? Just enjoy what you're doing, enjoy the journey, enjoy what you do, be passionate about what you do, and honestly, don't overthink the next step, because by the time you're 40, you're going to have had at least, I had a quarter life crisis, right, at 25. I swear it's a thing.
I think it's a thing. I definitely think it's
a thing. Yeah. And then you're going to have another one at your half life crisis. So do not stress about it. It's fine. But we put all this pressure on young people to stress about it and to worry about it. Like, how many young people are burnt out and stressed through going through their GCSEs?
Oh, it's huge. And actually, this generation, this Gen Z generation, are far more anxious and far more stressed than any previous generation. And that's probably because they've got all of us telling them, do it like this. This is how we do it. And we're a generation, like our generation, Generation Y, we're the burnout generation. Don't take advice from us.
Idea. Terrible idea. And like, I guess for me, that's where the power of coaching comes in, because a coach, in my definition of coaching, should not tell you what to do.
Yeah.
They are not there to tell you what to do. They are there to hold space for you, to ask you questions, to allow you to discover your inner voice. Like, we stop listening to ourselves at some stage in our lives. I'm not sure when, but we do stop listening to like that gut feeling of, oh, this isn't quite right. Like, we switch off to it, or we just bury it deep. And a coach's role is to help you start listening to that and figure that piece out, and then go on your merry journey of what you've decided, instead of another adult coming and telling you this is what you should do. Because everyone has an opinion. The only opinion that matters is yours as an individual. So figure out what the hell that is. Yeah. Like, ask yourself, what is your view? Take out all of these social norms that have been piled on us, because we pick up on them, and like we've spoke in very general social terms, like we've been stereotyping. Rip all that away, sit with yourself, take out what your parents want for you, take out what your grandparents want for you, what your best mate's doing, shut that noise off and just listen to yourself, because you have all the answers inside you. And that is what a coach can help you do, which is switch all that noise off and just sit nicely with you until you come up with your own plan.
If parents are biased and teachers are biased and grandparents are biased and everybody around you is biased,
everyone's biased.
Like, who, as a young person, who the hell do you listen to? Like, who do you go to for advice? What are you supposed to do?
Listen to yourself. You don't. Advice is fantastic, right? So, but as a child, I don't think you have the same. You don't have the same life experience to know, one, whether or not someone's just like talking an absolute load of poo because, you know, they've just got a gift for the gab and just talk and don't actually know what they're talking about. But you listen to them because you respect them. You know, they're the person down the road that you've always seen. You've said hello to them every morning on your way to school. Like, whoever it is that you have a chat with, you respect that person. So you listen to them and you take it on board, and they actually might not have a single clue what they're talking about, but it sounds good. So you're like, yeah. And as a child, you don't know that actually there's holes in what they're saying. Like, you don't know that. You don't pick up on that, right? Because you're trusting. You think that everyone wants it, and everyone does want the best for you. No one is out there to not want the best for you. But everyone has a view. Everyone brings into their conversation they have with you their view, what your life should look like, what life's going to be. Everyone wants you to have an easy life. That's different for everyone, what is easy, what is successful. But in every conversation you have from an advice perspective, that person, whichever adult you're talking to, is bringing their like truckload of baggage into that conversation. Yeah. And it is a truckload of baggage. As adults, we can call it out. We hear it, we see it, and we're like, no. So for young people, talk to lots of different people in different professions. expose yourself to, as that sounds terrible.
Don't go around exposing yourself.
Do not go around exposing yourself. No, and no, but talk to lots of people, talk to lots of different people, talk to lots of interesting people, volunteer at your local aged care home, talk to the grannies and grandmas. They have had a phenomenal life. They will have lots of anecdotes. They will have lots of stories. Doesn't mean you have to do any of the things they say, but it takes you outside of this lovely cocoon of love that your parents have created for you, of safety, and exposes you to different parts of the world in which we live in, and will open your eyes to opportunity. But then listen to yourself. So collect all of this knowledge, all of these experiences from other people, learn from them, but find that space where you can listen to your own intuition. I don't actually think there's many adults that are willing to be that open and raw about what they do.
Because no one wants to say, I was wrong. I got that wrong. Yeah. Oops.
Yeah.
And the truth of it is, it doesn't matter if you get it wrong. No. It doesn't matter. Trying something, getting it wrong is so much better than never trying something or doing something that someone else wants you to.
Yeah.
If there's so much nowadays, you can switch careers. And there's so much opportunity out there to do that. And there's no shame in that. And some people make their career out of doing lots of different things simultaneously. You don't have to pick one. Pick all the things you're good at and do a bit of everything. One day teach a Zumba class, another day cut someone's hair, another day be an event organizer. I'm actually describing my sister here. Do
you know this person?
Yeah, I do. I totally know her. And I love her and she's amazing. And that's cool. Like, you don't have to have a direction or a one box that you fit in. You can fit in loads of boxes. That's fine.
And I actually think as adults, it's our responsibility to start having those raw, open conversations with the younger generation. And it's not about saying, like, for me, I'm really clear with my HR journey that might not be yours. If you chose to go into HR, that might not be yours, but I'm going to highlight to you the things I loved. And then I'm going to explain to you from my perspective, the things I hated and why I hated them. And what I know now upon reflection, what I needed to be able to manage those situations that I didn't have. And I don't think everyone's very good at articulating those conversations in that way. They kind of go, oh no, that's a shit career, you don't want to do that. Well, no. Your experience wasn't great, but can you separate, like, as an adult, are you in a position to have an honest conversation with a younger person and separate that your experience was your experience? Do you know why you had that experience? Was there certain things that just didn't sit right? Like for me, I hated making people redundant. I would come home and cry. You can't cry in the meeting because you're making someone redundant. So you still have a job. You cannot show your emotion in that meeting. You have to take on board whatever they are going to throw at you. Sometimes they are amazing and really understand. Sometimes they're not so much. But you still have to, you have to deal with that. And that takes a certain level of resilience. And if you can't put that, I don't like talking about putting emotions into boxes, but if you can't work through that in a quick enough way, it will change who you are as a person.
I'm just really interested by all of the stuff that you've said. It's making me think of my own daughter and just how I approach things. I just want to be really careful and delicate because I feel like it's all good and well giving the young people the advice that you're giving them, but if they don't have parents that are understanding and that will support them, then I think then that's even harder, because some parents are just like, no, you're doing what I'm saying, and there's just no leeway around it. So I think it's actually having parents that will support you and say, yes, you can go and do what makes you happy and If you don't want to go and be a doctor, but you want to be an artist, then yeah, let's go and paint some pictures. But it's just making sure you've got parents who will actually allow that. That's the sad thing, and the sad reality of it is some kids, even as much as they want to do what they want to do, still won't be able to because the parents just won't allow it.
And let's not forget, some kids don't have parents.
Yeah. There's that too.
And it's going to be even. Let's face it, this is exactly what we were talking about, privilege before.
Yeah.
That is going to be even harder for those people. And we have to make resources like this podcast, making things available to people to guide them and to tell them that it's okay to want to do something different or to not know what you want to do. That's cool too. If you are 14, 15, 16, 25 and you don't know what you want to do yet, cool. Don't worry. You'll be fine. Just do what you like, right?
Don't freak out now if you're on this path and your parents aren't open to exploring stuff with you. That's cool. Enjoy the experience. Get as much as you possibly can from what it is you are enabled to do, and then figure it out later. But you would learn from that. Our journeys are important, right?
Yes.
I don't hate my HR career. I don't hate that I went to uni. I don't resent that I did that. Now I know I did it to live up to expectations, and I've had all of that kind of realization. But I don't regret that because I needed that journey to get me to where I am today. So that's important also. So don't be thinking, okay, let's go run out and do something completely different. It's cool. If you're not in a position to be able to do that, don't worry. If you're not around right now people that are going to empower you and provide you with the ability to explore, that's cool. Get as much as you can from the environment you're currently in, as much of the experience as you can that are really positive, and take that with you on your journey, because what you're going to learn now will help you when you're a bit older, when you have the opportunity to kind of go, maybe not, maybe let's do something else.
So no time's wasted as long as you're learning something,
That's it.
Cool. Thank you so much for being on our podcast, Elizabeth. It has been lovely to speak to you. It's been really, really fun. I can't believe where the time's gone. I
know. I feel like I've got loads of notes to take for my daughter. What not to say.
Just make a listen to it. That's what I'm going to do with mine when this has been edited. Yeah. That's what I'll be doing. You need to listen to this one, please, child. Thank you for joining us today, guys. We hope you found it inspiring. If you'd like to know more about Elizabeth and coaching, you can find her on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and of course, she has a website too. It's suttonfullpotential.com. Links in the bio. See you soon.